What's up, everybody? We are back. It might sound a little different because we're using different microphones today, and we're on location. But before we get started, I do want to remind you guys to go ahead and follow us on all forms of social media, the big three: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And give us a 5-star rating on wherever you listen to your podcast. I have iTunes, Spreaker, Google Play, Spotify, blah, 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 blah. But with all that said, in today's episode, I have a new co-host just for today. I sent out the bat signal. He came through, and my buddy Adolfo, Chips, Avalos, decided to step up to the game and have a conversation with me about everything and then some. So, buddy, welcome to Cast Podcast.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me here, man. It's my first podcast. I'm a big fan of podcasts, but this is my actual first one, like being in one.
Bro, you are in for a treat. Obviously, the way we break it down usually in this style of podcast is we recap the weekend, and then we talk about you, and then we talk about the crap. So, let's start. How was your weekend? What'd you do? What was the big deal?
Man, my weekend was hectic. It was hectic, but it was fun. I do a lot of freelance work right now, and we've been working with this company. It's called Tacos del Sur. This is a new taco shop in like Oak Cliff area, and so we're working on their grand opening. On their grand opening that's coming up. Actually, it's this Sunday.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, so we've been working with that, filming, making sure the content's on point, making sure everything goes well for them. So it's been hectic, and then catching up with work too.
So I told people on our social media platform that you were a filmmaker.
Correct.
So you've been doing a lot of that lately. You've been basically doing, vlog videos and all this. And if they follow you on Instagram, they know that you're an open book.
Right.
So tell them why filmmaking? Why? I mean, I decided to do stand-up, which is probably just as hard to break into. So.
Yeah, So, like, how it started, so filmmaking wasn't my first choice, but it was something I always wanted to do. At a very young age, I always liked watching movies. My mom had a habit of taking me to the movie theaters at a very young age. One of my first memories of watching was the original Tarzan movie, the Disney Tarzan movie with Phil Collins, You'll Be in My Heart time with that soundtrack. Fun fact, like that song is so when I graduated from high school, that's our song, like that's what we danced to. So that song has a lot of meaning to me because growing up we were so poor, but my mom saved up money to take me to the grand opening for that, and so we watched that. So ever since then, I just like love the movie just because it's like there is a relationship there that you can communicate with two individuals while watching something. But I ended up becoming a firefighter. I committed. It was registered as attempted arson in high school. So what happened is I was hanging with the wrong kids in the crowd.
Because of course that's what we do.
Right. Fucking being rebels, and we ended up trying to smoke weed, but we got so paranoid because the smell was so obvious. We just ended up bailing out and just putting the blunt into the trash can. And if you went to if you know high school trash cans, it's just like Russian trash cans. It's just nothing filled with paper. So we didn't put the blunt out completely, and so it just caught on fire.
Oh my god.
And nothing crazy fire. It was just mostly like smoke, and so the smoke detectors picked it up, and so it made a big fiasco because it's a school zone area, and so anything there takes it to level 10 out of 1.
All because you wanted to get a little high.
Correct. And so they came out, and literally the janitor just grabbed a cup of water and put it in there, and that was the done deal for it. But however, since the police department, the fire department, everything came in, it was registered as attempt to arson. So I had two choices: either go to juvie or do about a year and a half in community service at the fire station.
Okay.
So my parents being Hispanic, when people told them what juvie was, it's kind of like a younger version of jail. They're like, no.
Of course, it's jail. I mean, It is jail. Let's be real.
No, so being Hispanic is like, no, mi hijo no va a ir
para la cárcel porque
mi hijo es muy bueno, blah blah blah. Yeah, so ended up doing about a year and a half volunteer service at the fire station. I ended up getting hooked on, and one of the great opportunities that I had as a firefighter is I was able to work in New York City. So I lived in New York for about roughly about 3 years.
Yeah.
And in that process there, I ended up like learning so much about filmmaking and like just watching these great filmmakers there. And it was always in the back of my brain. It's like, man, I really want to do this. And when I came back, I was really, really into fitness. Like, you guys know that I used to compete in powerlifting, and now I'm kind of like taking this step as a done jiu-jitsu / boxing.
That's true.
Just boxing and everything. But one of the things too that I wanted to do was kind of like vlog style, like I don't know if any of y'all know like Christian Guzman,
Yeah.
Matt Ogus, all Steve Cook, like the OGs.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it just like it was. I didn't like that style of vlogging. There wasn't a really good story. It was just like, hey, let me show you what I'm eating. Like, just it was just too.
You want to do more like a portrait of a fighter, where they're actually following people around and telling a story of how they got to that point.
Yeah, and mostly like create like an actual like story. Like I don't want to just show you my whole life and just feel around me. I like being behind the camera, and so, but you obviously know this. Like getting into this type of like creative field, it's really hard.
It's not impossible, but it is difficult for sure.
And I was always like doing stuff like with tacos and tunes. And like a lot of freelance stuff throughout my time, and it was just really hard to like fully do it and fully commit because like it was a different career. So knowing that I had to cut my expenses all in half and just take a big leap of faith was something that at that point in time I wasn't ready to do. But as in a couple months ago, like I did it. I did it. An opportunity came in, and I just fucking did it. And it's honestly the best decision I could have done in a long time.
That's freaking awesome, bro. Like, I'm like, we have these conversations all the time. We train together, we do all this stuff, so we have these conversations about, like, creative minds kind of always, it doesn't matter what's heading, we're like magnets who just kind of attract to each other.
Right.
And it's like, ever since I met you, it's like, oh, this is a creative guy like me. Like, we want to do stuff together. And I was like, you being a filmmaker, it's like, that makes sense. It's Dallas, and everybody wants to be a filmmaker, everybody wants to be a musician, everybody wants to do this. But there's certain people that say they want to, and then there's people that are doing it.
Right. No. There's a big difference of, like, people that are in the arena and then spectators, for sure.
Oh, yeah. So, it's one of those things where it's like I feel like we were kindred spirits in that way. We both trained, we're both very creative people, and it was very, like I met you, it was very mutual right away. It was like, boom, well, this dude is on my level when it comes to wanting to get on to the next stage, which is, we gotta eat shit, we gotta eat ramen, we gotta sacrifice, but 10 years from now, that's when the fruits of our labor are gonna come through, and hopefully it doesn't take 10 years. God, I don't have time for 10 years.
Right. But here's the thing, though, like, even though, like, 10 years, like, seems a long time, it isn't a long time.
Mm-mm.
But 10 years feels a lot longer if you don't start, if you don't commit.
Exactly.
Because, like, if you think about it now, like, I'm 26, so in 10 years I'll be 36, right?
Yeah.
36 is going to come regardless, whether I'm ready or not, right?
Dude, I'm 28, 38 is going to come regardless.
Exactly. So, like, that's what I felt. Like, that's one of the things that, like, I had to, like, commit to myself and tell myself every day, like, if I don't start, I keep telling me in 10 years it's going to happen. But those 10 years are going to be prolonged later. Like, 1 year more, another year more, another year more. Next thing you know, these things are going to turn it into 15, 20 years. Yeah.
Dude, it's crazy. It's amazing to me because the more you talk about it, it's like I see the passion, I see the drive, and it's like, dude, sometimes I feel like I'm not hustling hard enough, even though I know that I am, because I'm sleeping 5 hours a night. That's probably a lot, right? But it's like I see you, you're posting. It's like I'm editing, I'm working tacos and food. It's like when was the last time I actually had a day off? That's what I want to know.
No, exactly. Like these last couple, like two to 3 weeks, like it's been like grind mode, like, and I'm talking about grind mode. Like last night, like we had this conversation. It's like kind of happened in the balance of like, okay, I need to focus on my work and like work my face off, but at the same time, it's like, when am I gonna like take a step back and do the things that I actually like?
Yeah.
And, like I'm already doing something that I like, but like there's other
rest and recovery, mental recuperation, which
Exactly.
is huge.
And like for me, like one of the things too that I always tell myself, like, fuck sleep.
No,
But
you
then
can't say fuck sleep.
but then now it's coming to like, okay, maybe I need to take a step back and not really say that. Like I need to like actually sleep because like earlier today, like I woke up and it was like today was one of the days that I woke up the latest. I woke up at 8 a.m. I'm usually up at like 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
And I still woke up with my eyes just feeling fucking heavy, and I was just like,
I
oh my
feel you.
god, like I slept 10 hours, yet my eyes still feel like heavy. Like when someone sleeps like 10 hours, you should feel great,
Dude,
generally speaking.
You need, okay, so, I don't know if you ever, like, there's sleep experts left and right, but they always say that if you're on a sleep deficit, you can't make it up in one day. You need, like, a solid week of, like, consistent 8-hour sleeping to make up for that lack of sleep. You're not ever really making it up. You're just letting your body recover in that time period. So I tell my wife all the time, it's like, baby, like getting up, to be at work by 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. From there, go help, Kyle Terra with the kids program or whatever. And then on top of that, go do a spot 2-3 times a week, plus the podcast, plus the social media, because you do social media work too. And social media becomes a part-time job.
Right. And there's no like, oh, it's like people would think I'm just going to post something on Instagram. Like, no. There's so much to it. You got to find like your audience. You got to make sure that photo is on point. And then you might think you're done with the editing of that video or that photo. And guess what, buddy? Like, there's always something that you're gonna have to change, and then you're gonna have to figure out the point where, like, okay, I am my hardest critic. I need to stop. But on top of that, you got to figure out hashtags, when to post it, and all this research that comes into it. It becomes a part-time job.
And what kills me is, right, you do all that research to post like the dopest picture that you find or the dopest video that you're proud of. That one gets no views.
Right.
And then you do the one that you half-assed. That one damn near goes viral.
Oh, exactly. Like, for example, like here's like funny thing. Like I posted a video of me like when I used to be really lean, and I'm getting to that point again. But that photo gets 67 likes. But then I post something about my job, and I only get 21 likes.
Dude, it's crazy. It's crazy, right? So, like, I have three social medias that I manage right now.
Right.
I manage Coño Cast,
Right.
Marriage Rules, and my personal. My personal, I can post anything. It'll get 100 likes easy, right? Like, stupid. Repost Joe Rogan stuff, people just like it. Then I do it for the business on purpose, being intentional,
Right.
looking for the hashtags. 10 likes, 11 likes.
Right.
And you're like, okay, this is the one that I actually want to grow.
Yeah.
And this other one where I'm just being like...
You're doing everything in your power to make it grow. However, you're only getting like 10 likes. And then
Bro,
on
it's
the other
horrible.
yeah, it's just like, Jesus.
And don't get me wrong, like, the podcast, like, we did the analytics on this yesterday, and we have listeners in Dubai.
Oh, that's dope.
We have listeners in Spain and Germany. Like, we have a worldwide audience. And, for 400 or some odd downloads, you don't think about it.
I love Spain.
España, bro.
Español Castaña.
Castellano. It blows my mind that, people are listening. Like,
Right.
It might not be to the level of, where we want to be yet, but people are listening, and people are being receptive.
It blows my mind when, like, my friend, like, my family watches my videos that I do. It's just like, oh, cool. You actually like the shit that I do. And it's just like, I can only imagine, like, having, like, someone from Spain be like,
Well, that's cool.
Oye, Daniel, me gusta tu video.
Bro, it's the same thing. And then I look at the analytics, on all the social medias, and you start seeing, people in Puerto Rico, people in Costa Rica. And like, just because, at least this podcast we're gearing it for the meatheads that are bilingual.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, there's a lot of us. It's just, most meatheads are American.
Yeah.
But there's people that love jiu-jitsu that live in, Colombia or whatever, or Cuba or whatever.
Dude, it's so crazy how jiu-jitsu has been, like, grown so fast, and it's so popular.
Oh, dude.
Like,
It's
you
not just that.
you talk about jiu-jitsu with other people, and it's just like, yeah, I did jiu-jitsu for, like, 4 years. The highest I got was a blue belt, which is very common for people.
Oh, yeah.
They get the blue belt blues and just quit after that, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, wow, like, you never know. Like, you go to a bar and pick up the fight with the wrong guy, and it's just like, a blue belt's still a blue belt. Like, even though he hasn't trained in 6 months, like, there's some stuff that he can still do that can really fuck you up. It's so crazy to me how, like, jiu-jitsu is, like, so popular now.
Dude,
and, like,
jiu-jitsu has transformed the world, man.
Right, and it's like, you got, like, what's the guy that's on our team for Kyle Terra? Yuri.
Shout out Yuri.
Yuri is huge. He doesn't, like, like now there's no stereotype for jiu-jitsu because you got people like